Hello and a very warm welcome to one and all. You're watching TV9 News. I'm Neha. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has not only wreaked havoc across the world, but has also redefined the way we used to live. Many countries are still battling the virus, while several others have set an example by taking early measures and bringing the virus under control. One such country that I would like to highlight is Australia, and how their Go for Zero policy helped the country in not only slowing the spread of the highly contagious disease, but has also reduced the local transmission successfully. The country is now gradually lifting curbs as two populous states have recorded zero new cases in recent weeks. The officials in Victoria claim to have successfully eradicated the virus as no new cases have been registered for a month, while South Wales City saw just one local infection in 1 month. Australia, on an average, reported only 10 cases every day from the past week. This is considered as a milestone as Victoria, as I in fact mentioned, which is the second most populous state, registered around 700 cases every day in early August. Since late October, Australia has registered just one COVID-19 related death. Well, this indeed is praiseworthy and brings us to a very important question as to how Australia achieved the unimaginable. Just to answer that, the government of Australia under Go for Zero policy ordered business closures, night curfew was imposed, a few borders were also closed, the government also ramped up testing and mandatory isolation was imposed. The country introduced a QR system codes under which people were supposed to scan in order to enter any public place. Hot hotels were set up for symptomatic people or travellers. As soon as the cases started declining in September, the government gradually started lifting lockdown restrictions. Now, to understand more about Australia's Go for Zero model, joining me over this interaction is Dr. Sitesh Roy, who is an immunologist. Thank you very much, Dr. Sitesh, for joining us. Now, the first question that I'd like to ask you, sir, Australia's Go for Zero policy has helped them to contain the spread of virus. What can other countries learn from the approach they've adopted?
So the Go for Zero approach has been different from the approach that other countries or other states have been taking so far, in the sense that they decided that rather than mitigating or flattening the curve, they will go for absolutely no transmission and no cases, which clearly, wherever possible, would be the best approach that any place could take. But in order to do so, they were required to do things like making wearing of masks mandatory, even indoors. They were required to alter how public transportation, public gatherings were occurring. They were required to put night curfews. They were required to maintain a very strong protocol of contact identification and tracing, and also maintain very strict rules with regards to isolation of people who were detected with the infection, plus possibly isolating people separate from their homes so that there is no cluster transmission of the virus within their families or their close contacts. So wherever this kind of an approach would be possible, the Go for Zero approach that Australia took seems like an approach that would make a big difference and can help, as we can see for this country, cut out the number of cases where they are now into single digits or 2 digits per day. But I believe that there will be some limitations to doing this with highly populous countries, India for example, and also for places where the entire infrastructure, including the legal infrastructure or the infrastructure of law enforcement, won't be able to handle the numbers that are required.
Right. Dr. Sitesh, second question that I'd like you to answer is, Victoria and South Wales, being highly populous states, have also successfully curbed the spread of virus. Now, whatever strategy they have adopted, like I mentioned a few earlier, can it work for other countries as well?
So for the strategy that worked for Victoria and South Wales, as you have mentioned, there were some very strict rules and regulations that were in place, and the general populace did a fantastic job in following those instructions and guidance to the T, so that their government and their healthcare system could be successful in achieving this result. And today they could open their borders to the other states, or they could start having some of their public gatherings or weddings But I believe that this is something that requires a bilateral approach. So it's an approach in which the public, the people buy into what their government is saying and then very sincerely cooperate and follow with wearing their masks both outdoors and indoors, with maintaining physical distancing, not traveling outside a 5 kilometer radius, which seems like a pretty strict thing to apply, and also the night curfews and other things that were in place. So I believe that where this is possible, or even portions of this, we certainly know that countries that have greater than 90% cooperation with the use of face masks worn correctly have cut down the viral transmission very significantly in their countries. And there are live examples with several countries, Taiwan, South Korea, and several others in the world that are a living example. So I believe that what this does is it encourages us that even while we wait for a vaccine or we wait for a drug that could be a miracle cure for this, there are certain things that we as the common public can do to protect ourselves and our families and our loved ones. And this would be a live example of success which we should all learn from.
Many thanks, Dr. Sitesh, for joining us. Well, one of the very important things that Australia adopted was to make masks compulsory. From the very beginning, the doctors have been saying that it's very, very important for everybody to wear masks and wear them the proper way. Do not forget to wear one and wear it the proper way. Thank you very much for joining me. If at all you like this video, do not forget to subscribe TV9 Digital.